Hey, you're back. Good. Close the door behind you. Lock it. Check under your bed. No, actually, don't. Because what I'm about to tell you happened to someone who checked, and they never checked anything again. Welcome back to the channel. Turn off your lights. Put your headphones in. And whatever you do, don't look behind you. Tonight's story is called The Thing in the Walls. Part 1. The new job. Marcus Webb needed money. That was the simple truth of it. 26 years old, 3 months behind on rent, surviving on instant noodles and the quiet desperation that comes at 3 a.m. when you're staring at your ceiling, wondering where everything went wrong. So, when the ad appeared on Craigslist, AI, and yes, he knew, everyone knows you don't trust Craigslist. AI, he clicked it anyway. Overnight security guard needed. Abandoned commercial property. Level 4, mall district. $400 cash per night. No experience necessary. Must be comfortable working alone. $400 cash per night. Marcus told himself any sane person would have kept scrolling. He told himself that later, much later, when he was sitting in a hospital room with both hands wrapped in bandages, unable to explain to the doctors why he'd scratched his own palms raw, trying to get something off of them that wasn't there anymore. He took the job. Part 2. Level B2. The building was a dead mall, not the sad kind full of discount stores and old ladies power walking, the actually dead kind. Closed 2019, sealed 2021. Something about a structural inspection that apparently found problems nobody wanted to talk about publicly. The property manager, a thin man named Gerald who smelled like cigarettes and never quite made eye contact, handed Marcus a flashlight, a walkie-talkie, and a single laminated sheet of paper. "Don't go to level B2, Gerald said. Marcus looked at the paper. It said the same thing, just that. Do not access level B2 under any circumstances. What's on B2? Marcus asked. Gerald finally looked at him, just for a second. His eyes were the color of old dishwater. Nothing, he said. That's the problem. Then he left. Marcus heard the van pull away. He stood alone in the vast, humming silence of a dead mall at 11 p.m., fluorescent lights flickering overhead, the air smelling like mold and something faintly metallic, like old pennies left in the rain. He started his rounds. Part 3. The sound. The first 2 hours were fine, boring even. Marcus walked the upper levels. Empty storefronts gaped at him like open mouths. A Forever 21 with mannequins still inside, frozen mid-pose, their plastic faces catching the light in ways that made them look almost expectant. A food court with tables still set, as if the customers had simply evaporated mid-meal, leaving behind trays and cups and a silence so thick Marcus could feel it pressing against his eardrums. He checked his phone. 1:14 a.m. That's when he heard it. It came from below. Not a bang, not a crash. Something softer than that. A dragging sound, long and slow and deliberate, like something heavy being pulled across concrete. Scritch. Marcus stopped walking, tilted his head. Scritch. Again. Rhythmic. Patient. He told himself it was pipes. Old buildings make sounds. Thermal expansion, settling foundations, the groaning language of concrete and steel communicating in frequencies humans weren't meant to understand. He almost believed it. Scritch, 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 getting closer. Part 4. The footage. There were security cameras, 8 of them, feeding into a monitor at the guard station near the main entrance. Marcus had barely glanced at them when he started his shift. Standard stuff, he thought. Empty hallways, empty escalators, empty everything. He sat down in front of the monitor now, heart beating just slightly faster than usual, and scanned the feeds. Levels 1, 2, 3, nothing. Parking structure, east wing, nothing. Parking structure, west wing, nothing. Level B1, north corridor, nothing. Level B2, he leaned forward. The camera for level B2 was grainy. Low resolution, worse than the others, casting everything in that sickly greenish-yellow tint that cheap night vision gives to darkness. The hallway was long and low-ceilinged, support pillars running down the center, fluorescent tubes somewhere overhead, giving off just enough light to see the walls, the floor, the eye. Marcus blinked. He pressed his face closer to the screen. There was something standing at the far end of the corridor. He couldn't make it out clearly. It was tall, too tall, and thin. Impossibly thin. The kind of thin that suggested the body was made of something other than normal flesh and bone. Long limbs that bent at angles that didn't correspond to any joint structure Marcus had ever seen in a biology textbook. And from its torso, or what he assumed was its torso, came these tendrils. These long, reaching, black tendrils that curled and uncurled slowly in the greenish dark, like the fingers of something just waking up. It was standing completely still, facing the camera. Marcus grabbed the walkie-talkie. "Gerald," he said. His voice came out embarrassingly small. "Gerald, come in." Static. "Gerald, there's something on B2. On the camera. I need you to Scrurrich." The sound again, this time directly below his feet. Marcus looked back at the monitor. The thing at the end of the corridor was gone. Part 5. The door. He should have left. Every rational part of his brain, every survival instinct hammered into human DNA over 100,000 years of being prey. AI was screaming at him to walk out the front door, get in his car, drive away, never come back. Forget the $400. Forget Gerald. Forget the whole thing. Instead, Marcus Webb found the stairwell to level B2. He would spend a long time afterward trying to understand why. The best explanation he ever came up with was this: there's a particular kind of fear that doesn't make you run. It makes you need to know. It wraps itself around your spine and pulls you toward the thing that terrifies you, because the not knowing is somehow worse than whatever the knowing might cost. The door to B2 was heavy steel. It had a push bar. It was not locked. Marcus pushed it open. The smell hit him first. It was wrong in a way that bypassed his nose entirely and registered somewhere older, somewhere deeper. The part of the brain that knows rot, that knows predator, that knows you were in a place where things die. It smelled like the inside of something biological, warm and close and alive in a way the rest of the building was not. He stepped through. Part 6. The pillars. The corridor stretched before him. It was exactly like the camera had shown. Low ceiling, yellow-green walls, fluorescent light stuttering overhead. The red stripe running along the wall at waist height like a wound that hadn't quite healed. Support pillars at regular intervals, casting long shadows. Marcus swept his flashlight slowly. Left, right, forward. Nothing. He took a step, then another. The sound of his own footsteps bothered him. Too loud, too present, like an announcement. Here I am. Here is where I am. Here is the sound of a human being, alone on level B2. He was halfway down the corridor when he saw the marks on the wall. They were long and thin, like claw marks, but made with a pressure that had gouged deep into the drywall. They ran horizontally along the red stripe, hundreds of them, packed together densely, overlapping. They went all the way from the far end of the corridor to about 10 feet from where Marcus stood. And they were fresh. The drywall dust was still settling, still floating in the beam of his flashlight like tiny pale snowflakes. Marcus turned around. It was standing between him and the door. Part 7. The thing, he saw it clearly now. The camera hadn't lied, but it hadn't prepared him either. Because there's a difference between seeing something on a screen and having it occupy the same physical space as you. Breathing the same recycled air. Existing in your reality with a solidity that makes your brain simply refuse to process what your eyes are reporting. It was tall, 7 feet at least, maybe more. It was hard to judge because it moved. Not walked, moved. The way water moves, the way smoke moves. Like each part of it was independently alive and only loosely coordinating with the rest. The tendrils. You see, and up close, Marcus could see there were many of them, extending from its core in all directions, constantly curling and reaching and retracting. I made a sound, a soft, wet, dragging sound. Scritch. It had no face that Marcus could identify. What it had instead, at the top of the longest vertical tendril, the one he assumed was something like a neck. Was a cluster. A dense, dark cluster that caught no light, that seemed to absorb light, that seemed to be the place where light went to stop existing. But it was aware of him. Marcus knew this the way you know certain things without evidence, without data, purely through the animal part of yourself that's been right about these things since the first humans cowered in their first caves. It knew he was there. It had been waiting. Part 8. The Crawl. Marcus did not scream. He wanted to desperately. The scream was right there, sitting in his throat like a stone. But something told him instinctively that sound was a mistake. That sound would trigger something he could not come back from. He took one step backward. The thing tilted. The cluster at the top rotating slowly in his direction, tracking him the way a satellite dish tracks a signal. Another step back. One of the tendrils reached out. Not toward him, just out, feeling the air, tasting it maybe, testing it. Marcus's back hit the far wall. The thing began to move toward him. Not fast. That was the worst part. It didn't rush. It didn't charge. It came with the patient, unhurried deliberateness of something that has never in its existence needed to hurry. Something that has always, eventually gotten what it wanted. 1 step, 2, 3. Each time it moved, the tendrils left those marks on the wall. Thin, deep gouges, dragging sounds, scritch, scritch. Marcus dropped to the floor. He didn't decide to do it. His legs just stopped working and he went down hard on his hands and knees, and then he was crawling, scrambling along the base of the wall, moving laterally, trying to put a pillar between himself and it. He got behind the pillar, pressed his back against the concrete, didn't breathe. The sound of dragging continued, getting closer, then stopping. Silence. A long, terrible, absolute silence in which Marcus could hear his own heartbeat with embarrassing clarity, could feel the cold concrete through his uniform, could smell that biological rot smell getting stronger and closer and closer. Something touched his shoulder. Marcus erupted from behind the pillar. He was running before he'd consciously decided to run, legs working in a pure, panic automatic way. The door at the end of the corridor, somehow now impossibly far. The fluorescent lights overhead flickering and dimming like something was pulling power from them. The red stripe on the wall blurring past. He hit the push bar, fell through the door, stumbled up the stairwell, 3 steps at a time, burst through the door at level 1, kept running, crashed through the main entrance doors, ran across the parking lot, got in his car, drove. He drove for 40 minutes before he stopped. Part 9. What Gerald said. Marcus called Gerald the next morning. He'd barely slept, sitting in his car in a McDonald's parking lot, doors locked, every light on, watching the sunrise with the hollow relief of someone who had genuinely doubted they would see one. Gerald picked up on the second ring. "You went to B2, Gerald said, not a question. "What is that thing?" Marcus demanded. "What is living down there? Why did you send me in there without it?" "You're alive," Gerald said. He sounded almost surprised. "Most of them don't call back." "Most of them." "How many people have you sent in there?" Silence. "Gerald, how many AI?" "It doesn't always show itself," Gerald said quietly. "Sometimes the nights are quiet. Sometimes the guards do their whole shift and leave and never see anything. We thought He paused. "We thought maybe it was gone. It had been months since the last eye." "The last what?" Another pause. "Longer." "The last incident," Gerald said. Marcus sat in his car in the McDonald's parking lot and listened to Gerald explain, in the flat, defeated tone of a man who has long since run out of better options, that the thing on level B2 had been there since 2019. That's why the mall closed. That's why the inspection found structural problems. The structural problems were a cover story. The real problem was harder to explain to the public. The real problem didn't appear on any inspection form. They'd tried everything, Gerald said. He wouldn't specify what everything meant, and Marcus found he didn't want to know. What he did say was this: it couldn't leave. Something about the building, about level B2 specifically, the concrete, the layout, the way the corridors ran, kept it contained. It hadn't left in 6 years. But it was getting stronger, Gerald said, and lately he'd noticed it was getting closer to the door. Part 10. The message. Marcus hung up on Gerald. He blocked the number. He never went back. He moved across the country 4 months later. New city, new job, new apartment on the 14th floor with good locks and lots of windows. He told himself he was fine. He started sleeping with the lights on and eventually decided that was fine too. Normal even. Lots of people slept with the lights on. He was doing okay. Until the night, 7 months after level B2, when he got a message from an unknown number. No text, just a video file. He should have deleted it. He knew he should have deleted it. He opened it anyway because of that thing, that particular terrible thing about fear, the way it pulls you toward the knowing. The video was security camera footage, grainy, greenish yellow. A long corridor, low ceiling, red stripe on the wall, a support pillar in the foreground, and beyond it, at the far end of the hall, nothing. The corridor was empty. Marcus stared at the footage for a long moment, relieved and confused, and then, His phone buzzed. Another message from the same unknown number. 3 words. Found the door. Marcus sat very still in his 14th floor apartment with its good locks and many windows and let the sound of the city wash over him, and tried very hard not to think about what was on the other side of his front door. He thought about it anyway. He's still thinking about it. Are you? They never found Gerald. His van was discovered 3 weeks after Marcus's last conversation with him, parked outside the mall. The driver's door was open. The keys were still in the ignition. There was no sign of a struggle. There were, however, marks on the asphalt beside the van. Long, thin, dragging marks pressed deep into the ground, leading toward the mall entrance. They stopped at the door to the stairwell. The one that leads to level B2. Police ruled it a missing persons case. Open, unsolved. They noted the unusual marks but couldn't explain them, so they didn't try. Some things don't fit the forms they give you. Some things don't fit any category humans have invented yet. The mall is still there, still sealed, still standing. If you listen very carefully on quiet nights, people in the neighborhood say they can hear something from inside. A soft, dragging sound. Scritch. Getting closer to the door. If you made it to the end of this story, you're braver than most, or maybe just more curious. And you know what they say about curiosity. Before you go check your doors and windows, actually, maybe don't, hit that subscribe button. New horror stories every week. Turn on notifications so you never miss one. Sleep tight. And whatever you do, don't look behind you. Too late. UEOE. Subscribe for more. UEOE. AI end of story AI.